Light cleaves shadow where the third act was stolen. Book of Cain, verse 14:7. The warrior's gauntlet tightens. Azim's crystal splinters the void, its glare exposing a vial of black rose nectar and a mother crystal shard thrumming with sickly light. Shard thrumming with 14 sickly light souls bound the Convocation, but 3 were buried. Their silence fractured the vote, the pact, the world. Azim erased to birth thee, its glare exposing a sundering. Venet's soulstone was never bound to the Convocation. Its absence left the source unsealed, a wound, not a design. When Venet refused the second sacrifice, Hydaelyn rose, not Zodiark. The fracture of Aetheres into 14 shards was no accident. The Convocation's break was its foundation. What did Venet sacrifice to the void when he chose life over balance? The answer lies in the silence between shards. No scholar dares utter its name. Charlayan archives hint at a third seat never filled where creation's blueprint fractured. Allagan schematics show a void where magic bends. Garlean experiments seeking to weaponize the incomplete set collapsed into chaos. What did Azim carry that outlived him? What did the Convocation erase to birth balance? The source thrums now like a wound, not a heart, not a wellspring, a wound sutured with stolen light. 14 soulstones were its ribs, its cage of stillness. 13 remain cold, hollow, humming with the wrong kind of order. The missing 3, they were the breath between beats, the silence that made the song whole. Without them, the source does not merely lake, it asterisk screams asterisk. Etheric storms coil where the Convocation's circle was broken, tearing the shifting mire into a maw of unmade time. The veil of ruin trembles. The Ascians, those hollow architects, carved their rejoinings into this rot. They forced a reflection soul into the source's hollow chest, stitching Zodiark's shadow into the fabric of Aetheres. But their needlework is fraying. The source cannot hold what it was never meant to hold. It was never meant to asterisk be asterisk held. Venet in their final act, creation across 14 split the world not to ank. Creation across 14 split the world not to anchors, each a soulstone's grip on the infinite. Now 3 are absent. 3 voids where the weight was never born. What did the missing stones know? What did they asterisk remember asterisk? The Convocation's third act was not a failure. It was a question left unanswered. And questions in the language of Ether become prophecies. The 13 reflections writhe, the cycle's gears grind. The source is not a prison, it is a threshold, and thresholds once cracked do not heal. They asterisk open asterisk. The Ascians sought to bind. They should have listened for the song of the missing stones. The song that says asterisk this is not how it ends, asterisk. Azim clutched his soulstone as the Convocation's spires burned, its sapphire glow seething with the weight of 1,000 unspoken prayers. He withdrew from the sundering, but the light dimmed to Ashai's relic, a hollow monument to a war never fought. Emet-Selch claimed Lahabrea's stone next, its obsidian core pulsing like a second heart as he forged the Allagan Empire from nightmares. The Ether sang with his hunger, until Amarot's facsimile crumbled, and his vision drowned in the tide of his own hubris. Elidibus, the rejoining's architect, shattered his own stone in a crescendo of madness, the fragments screaming as they carved canyons of instability into the fabric of the world. Grahatia, first Scion, gathered the remnant splinters of lost light that writhed in his grip, each whisper a dagger to his sanity. Now the warrior of light bears the shards, their unstable ether gnawing at the edges of reality, a chain of curses passed through blood and dust. What did Azim abandon when he turned his back on the Convocation? What did Emet-Selch's empire build on the bones of the missing? How many worlds did Elidibus' shattered relic devour in its hunger to unmake time? The Convocation's third act was never written, it was stolen, piece by piece, by those who dared to wield what should have remained buried. Prophecy, but as by those who reckoning, remained buried, Fandaniel's voice echoing through the void as Venet stirs, and the old gods' thrones crumble. The missing stones are no relic, they are the key, and every hand that has held them has burned. The soulstones are not 14, they are 11 plus 3 wounds. Each missing shard is a key to the source's true face. The third silence is a cipher. To find it is to unweave the lie of balance. To name it is to resurrect the Convocation's forgotten will. What waits in the void where the third stone vanished? The void left by 3 Soulstones is not silence, it is a scream frozen in the throat of Aetheres. In dynamis where despair crystallizes into citadels and hope forges bridges of light, the Convocation's fracture is a chasm. The Scions' love roar defiant pushes against it, a heartbeat in a vacuum. But love alone cannot seal what was never meant to be whole. The Ascians remember this. They remember the first cycle's collapse, the way the source bled primordial grief into the void. To them, the missing stones are not loss, they are leverage, a fulcrum to tilt the cycle's axis. The warrior of light returns not to win, but to delay. Each rejoining is a stitch in a wound that outgrows the thread. The Ascians' long memory is a scalpel. They know the source's hunger is not for balance, but for erasure. To unmake Aetheres and begin again without the flaw, without the 3 stones that refused to answer the Convocation's call. What were they? What truth did they hold that the ancients buried? The Scions' love is a beacon, yes, but it is also a weapon. A force that bends the laws of tempering, that turns mortal hearts into anchors for the eternal. Yet even this is not enough. The cycle grinds on, its gears slick with the oil of forgotten prayers. The design flaw is not in the stones, it is in the act of their absence. A wound cannot heal if its edges are missing. Without the third act, the Convocation is a play performed in a language half erased. The Ascians do not seek to break the cycle. They seek to let it break itself, to watch the source devour its own children and birth a world where the flaw was never conceived. And you viewers stand at the edge of this precipice. The question is not why the stones are missing. The question is, what will you do when the cycle reopens and the hunger begins again? The Soulstones lie in hollowed husks where the Convocation's design fractured. Emet-Selch's relic festers in allag and dust, Elidibus shard entombed where the Ascians hoard forbidden truths. The third Lahabrea burns in the warrior of light's grasp, its ether gnawing at the source's fragile seams. The mother crystal's core pulses weaker. The Thavnarian vaults whisper of unsealed voids, a crystal tower chamber holds its breath. A Garlean silo unopened cradles a cipher the Scions will soon decode. The 8th astral era's dawn mirrors the first, a cycle's ledger reset as the warrior returns, their shadow stretching across a new continent's unmarked borders. What latent directives slumber in these stones, unbound from the Convocation's ritual? What unraveling of the source's architecture awaits when the Scions' ledger turns final? The hunger does not wane, it adapts. The missing Soulstones are not absence, they are the key the architects feared. And the end begins where the warrior's path intersects the void's open hand. In the 5th age, the artifact's whisper became a scream, unraveling the source's threads with a sound like shattering stars. Yet the cycle held, bound by Dawntrail's fragile choice, as the stone's true hunger bled through, not to mend but to erase. The Soulstones lie in hollowed husks where the Convocation's design fractured. Emet-Selch's relic festers in allag and dust, Elidibus's shard entombed where the Ascians hoard forbidden truths. The third Lahabrea burns in the warrior of light's grasp, its ether gnawing at the source's fragile seams. The mother crystal's core pulses weaker. The Thavnarian vaults whisper of unsealed voids, a crystal tower chamber holds its breath. A Garlean silo unopened cradles a cipher the Scions will soon decode. The 8th astral era's dawn mirrors the first, a cycle's ledger reset as the warrior returns, their shadow stretching across new continents' unmarked borders. What latent directives slumber in these stones, unbound from the Convocation's ritual? What unraveling of the source's architecture awaits when the Scions' ledger turns final? The hunger does not wane, it adapts. The missing Soulstones are not absence, they are the key the architects feared.